Hello, everybody. Welcome to the studio for another Watercolors with Michael Wednesday. I'm so glad you are here. Edie's here. Hello, Edie. Vonda is here over on Twitch. I should say we are, hello from the Black Hills. Wow. We are streaming on both services, YouTube and Twitch this evening, so I am so glad to see everybody here. I don't know where to start. I want to do this. I think this is funny. I don't know. I do a lot of fishing, and I try to do some funny mashup paintings, and I was just thinking to myself one day, you know, fish normally live under the water. What would it be for them to jump out of the water? It's a strange place, and he's probably want to put a crash helmet on so he knows what he's doing. Anyway, I'm just having some fun with it. Blue Mom is here. Kenya is here. Hello. I'm so happy to see you all. I'm going to get started. The paper I'm using tonight is Baohang paper. This is the studio paper, 140 pound. Listen, sounds nice. Sounds sturdy. It is cold pressed. I almost said rough. It is cold pressed. I'm ready to go with that. I got my paints over here on my right hand side. These are, of course, my M Graham paints. Anybody who wants to know what they are, there they are right there. I'll let those run for a couple of minutes. The brushes I'm going to use, for the most part, I'm going to be using my King Art brushes. There they are, King Art. I hope you can see that. And I'm going to jump right in. I'm going to get started with this. And I'm going to do something I don't normally do. And that is, I'm going to paint the background first. Yeah, I know. What's going on? Well, there's nothing necessarily bad going on. I just saw this today and went, I'm going to start with the background. And we'll see how it goes. So I'm mixing up a little bit of blue. It's going to be mostly cerulean blue here. I did put a little bit of, what is this other stuff? Ultramarine in there. And I want a light layer where I live, right? I live on the central coast of California, and it's always sunny and bright here. Maybe it's foggy from time to time, but typically it is sunny with blue skies. Not much to get in the way of that. So my painting, I'm going to have a nice blue sky out here. Maybe, you know, I'm just trying to make up a story here. Maybe this fish saw that the sky was nice and bright and blue, and went, oh, this looks like a fantastic day to try something new. So he's going to try to take a flyer and jump out of the water. Of course, though, he's got to put on his safety helmet first. Of course he does. Safety first. Safety first. That's always a good rule. A couple of things to get out of the way. I'm feeling better today. I don't know if anybody knew. Yesterday, not feeling that great. Woke up with a headache. My back hurts. Got some problems going on. But today, I'm feeling good. I'm ready to roll. Edie says, everything is great, thanks. Hope you can stay the same. Oh, responding to Blue Mom. It's a gorgeous sunny day and low humidity here in New York City. Always a mood booster. So, Edie, I'm going to ask a question. Low humidity. What is low humidity in New York City? For me, low humidity is, because I live right next to the ocean, low humidity is probably 60%. I don't know. It's pretty humid here. Oh, and I should say, before I go on, I put my sky in, and then I'm not going to immediately jump in and put trees or green down below that, right? I'm going to let this dry. I'm going to jump down in the painting and paint some water down here. And then I'm going to have this middle ground kind of left for me to do. And I'll do that when this starts to dry up a little bit. So I'm going to jump from the sky here down to the foreground. I'm still going to use some blue. I'm going to switch over from my cerulean blue to some ultramarine blue. It's funny, I know all these colors. I have to look over to see what they are, to know what they are. And if you look at that reference photo, you know what? I haven't even made this embiggened. Let's see what it looks like here. I need to resize that, I think, so you all can see it. There we go. I think you can see that a little bit better. Maybe if I centered it, it'd be a good idea. Let's do this. Let's make that even bigger, more bigger. There you go. That's all you really want to see. You can see the water down there. There's some bright blue kind of right behind his body, and it goes out a little bit. But there's a lot of dark colors in that blue. Okay, cool. And Evie says 30% is low humidity. That is pretty low humidity. That is pretty low. Let's get back here. And I don't know what the temperature is like around the country, anywhere. Here on the Central Coast of California, where it's fantastic all the time. Yes, that's a promo for living here. It got up to the high 70s here today, inland. I work, it's 13 miles from my door to where I live to where I work. It was probably, 30% humidity, and it was 78, 79 degrees. Absolutely gorgeous day, as it always is here on the Central Coast. Unfortunately, fortunately for me, I live here, but unfortunately for, my family and friends, that means that I have from back home, that means I am never leaving. I'm going to be a lifer here. It's very nice here. But anybody who wants to come out and visit, got some lovely areas out here. Let's see. What am I talking about? So my blue here is ultramarine. There must be some dark in this tray over here a little bit. I'm trying being very careful to stay away from painting right over the fins on this fish. I've done that in the past, painted over lines that you didn't want to, and yeah, let's just say that's not the best idea in the world. So we're gonna avoid that at all cost here. And we're gonna get some nice color in this water while it's all still wet. I want to do all of this work while this is still wet. There's some dark areas over here. I don't want to cover up all of the blue though. We'll get back to it. Let's see. Did anybody? I'm trying to think what has happened since last we met. And I think we had a Father's Day in there. Did anybody do anything for Father's Day? Either celebrate for themselves or celebrate with their father? I'm not 100% sure, but I think we all have dads. That would appreciate at least a phone call, I'm sure. I'm pretty sure on that. Not always really big on science, but I'm pretty sure on that. All right, and just mixing some green in with this water. I got a little water on this side of this fish too. I'm going to put that on. And I'm feeling it in my sky is almost dry up here. Almost dry. Let's see, this lake, I don't know, it comes down here like this, something. I think that's a pretty good start right there. I think that is a good start. Happy Father's Day. Happy Father's Day. I did celebrate Father's Day. I went I went to an arcade with my kids, and they proceeded to beat me in some arcade games, and I'm proud to announce that the 80s arcade games I was able to beat them in. Very happy about that. Very happy that they couldn't beat me in everything. Kids nowadays grow up with so many video games, and it was it was something I had to work into playing. So I'm glad I could still beat them at a couple of stand-up arcades. We have a big arcade in town, and it's pretty. It's in a. I'm going to say this, and it's going to sound funny. It's an adult arcade because it's a bar slash arcade, and I don't know. After 8 o'clock at night or something, you have to be 18 or older to be in it, which is fine. I was there before that. But before that, anybody can go in there, and they must have 200 games and pinball machines and everything like that. Edie says, Happy Father's Day. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And Vonda has come over to YouTube here somewhere. Vonda says, I'm over on YouTube now. Vonda, thanks for coming over. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So there were a number of the old arcade games that I got to play for the first time in probably, I'm going to say 20 years or so, because you just don't see them anymore. And it was a lot of fun. And I'm sure the kids had fun. Was able to beat both of my kids at air hockey, which I hope, since I grew up with an air hockey game, if they had beaten me at air hockey, I'd have been really upset at myself, not at them. All right, so I just put some blue. I want this helmet to be blue. Let's see. Here's the problem I have. My palette colors my palette colors color my cover. Oh, I can't speak. Cover my chat from Twitch. Wanda says, I like YouTube better. YouTube for me, not for everybody, but for me, is probably going to be a better experience for you, as that's where I'm streaming first. Everything I have is set up more for YouTube than it is for Twitch, but you can still get on Twitch and I'll still see all your messages and everything. But what I'm doing here, I think I was starting to say, is I'm trying to add some interest, some roundness, some dimension to this helmet. And I'm doing that by just darkening a little bit of it up. I'm not going to darken everything on this first pass, but just a little bit. Just a bit here and there, so we can see that something's going on, and it gives us a bit of a direction for our next bit of things. Star Castle is my favorite arcade game. Star Castle, okay, followed by Tail Gunner and Space Fury, the vector games. I haven't been able to play them in years. They were already legacy games when I played them. I played Ian Thompson's Off-Road. What else did I play? I'm trying to think. There's some old games. We have Elton John's. I think this is so funny. Elton John's pinball machine, which is great. Actually, there's like every rock star in the past 40 years has a pinball machine at our arcade. I didn't know they all made their own pinball machines, or Bally or Morris Games or whoever puts them out made so many rock star pinball games, but they do. There's a ton of them out there. Kiss has one. I think there was a Van Halen one there. The one I didn't see, the one I wanted to see, was Hall & Oates. We need a Hall & Oates pinball machine. That's just something that should be. I'm going to call them up and complain that we don't have a Hall & Oates pinball machine. right? Who's with me on that one? Probably nobody. Probably nobody. That's all right. Okay, cool. So I've got some color on this. What I want to do is kind of make this, kind of two-tone-ish, right? There's where it's in some darker shadow, it's going to be a little darker. Where I got a little bit more shine on it, it's going to be a little bit lighter, right? My shine doesn't quite match up with the shine that's over there, but that's okay. And this is just a start. It looks a little odd, it looks a little funky, but I think we're going to be okay with it. And if we're not, we're going to make it okay, because we can do that. We have complete power to manipulate all of these colors. And we're going to make this fun. So I like the way my water's kind of turning out here. I got to put in some darker areas, and it'll start to look like there's some ripples on this water. I might have to, excuse me, I just had a little burp there. I might have to re-wet this, but it's a little damp at the moment. Tempest was a killer color vector game that was designed by sadists and played by masochists. Tempest was the one that had different shapes, and you had to spin a knob and go around and shoot. Anybody who likes old video games or old 80s type of stuff, what you should do is you should go and you should rent the book, borrow a book, go to a local. I got it from the local library, which is why I say it like that. Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. It is all about the 1980s and 80s trivia and 80s culture and everything like that. It's really a nice blast from the past, if anybody has an interest in anything like that. All right, so, but my paper up here is pretty dry. I can go ahead and start putting on my middle layer here, and if it touches this, which is slightly damp, that's okay, but I want to turn this over so you can see. I hope you can see. You can see some shadows. You get some bigger areas in here where it's buckled a little bit. It's not too bad. It's a little bit of buckling. But not too bad. I'm just trying to make a bit of a, I don't even know what you call that edge, a broken edge there, right? These trees are going to stand out a little bit. I don't want a solid color for these trees. I don't want a perfect edge here. I want some differentiation in what we're seeing here. And then this has got to come right down to the fins on this fish. And again, because these fins are lighter, they're going to stand out lighter, I've got to be careful not to really go over the top of them. That's the one. Yes, I've spent many a day, many an hour, wasted lots of time playing Tempest, Dragon Quest, Donkey Kong, Smash TV. I played Street Fighter. I played all kind. I started with Galaga, one of the first ones I started playing. I really had a good time growing up with some video games. Blue Mom says, how are the chickens? How are the girls doing? I've got a major update for you on the chickens. They may have gotten mites or some kind of sickness in them. Not exactly sure. They weren't feeling well. So over the weekend, I went out to Tractor Supply and bought supplies. And what I did was I dipped I dipped my chickens. I got some pyrethrum and dipped my chickens, made I don't know what it was, couple ounces to a couple gallons, whatever it was. Not serum. What am I trying to say? Mixture. Why did I just say mixture? and filled up a bin, just a normal bin, a plastic bin with some warm water, and put my chickens in. Unfortunately for the chickens, they didn't want to be in there. Chickens don't really like being wet, I found out. But it's for the greater good. So I did it on Saturday, which was our warmest day here. So I dipped my chickens. This just sounds so silly. Gave them a nice bath. Lots of really wet, soaking, and then tried to dry them off and let them sit in the sun. I did it early enough in the day so they could be in the sun, and they dried off. Then I had to clean out the chicken coops. So we have 2 chicken coops, and I had to clean both of them out. Took them all apart, disassembled them, cleaned them out, and then had to spray them down with this liquid designed to help get rid of mites if they had them. If they didn't have them, cool. They just got a clean chicken coop, and no big loss. But so that took a long time. That was 4 or 5 hours on Saturday to help my chickens hopefully feel better. 4 of the chickens look like they're doing better. Let's see. Vonda says, I failed with Mario Brothers. Going back to the video game chat, Mario Brothers. See, Nintendo stuff, I never got. There were only a couple of games I got into on Nintendo. I never did Mario Brothers. I didn't do Super Mario. I didn't do any of those kind of games. I did Double Dribble. I did Blades of Steel. I did Tecmo Bowl. All of those more sportsy games, and then Frida is still not feeling well. I think she's just staying in the coop, right? She's staying in the hen house, and I think she's just feeling a little broody, and so I want to not let her be broody if that's a thing I can do. So every day when I get home, I pull her out of there and lock her out of the the coop, so that she can't stay in there and she can't get into her house and just sit there all day. So I pulled her out first thing when I got home today, and she didn't like it for about 5 minutes, and then she got up and ran around just like normal, and I think she's going to be totally fine. I think all the chickens are going to be fine in the end. And I'm extremely happy about that. Okay, you like my shirt? Yes, it's my Stay Positive shirt. Since I live here on the ocean, and since I've lived here, we've only had 4 shark attacks. 4 shark attacks within, 4 miles of my house. And in fact, I don't know the name of the channel, but if you, on here on YouTube, you can look up Pismo Beach, which is just south of me, and shark drone footage or something like that. And one of the locals has taken to sending a drone up and just tracking all the white sharks that are out on Pismo Beach. And some of them get quite close to the surfers, and the surfers sometimes know and they sometimes don't know. And I wouldn't want any part of it. It looks a little too harrowing for me. Edie says, I hope you wore safety equipment during all of the chicken cleaning. And I wore a t-shirt and jeans. After I got done, I went, God, I should have worn gloves. Gloves really would have been a good idea, but I didn't. If it won't harm the chickens, it shouldn't harm me, right? That's the way I was trying to deal with it. Okay. So I say all that so I can stall a little bit here. Is it true, Michael, that a chicken will run around after its head is cut off? Yes, it is. I don't do it anymore, but I have in the past. We have raised chickens and eaten them, and yes, they do for a little while. Yeah, they do. It's a little while. It's longer than you think, and it's maybe a little disturbing for some, but yes, they will. Okay, so gloves and a mask. Gloves and a mask would have been good. I did smell like pyrethrum. Vonda says over on Twitch. I did smell like that for about a day and a half, and I went out and I picked up Frida when I got home from work to get her out of the hen house, and she does have a vague odor, a vague whiff of pyrethrum still on her. she did. Okay, so what I need to do. So I'm looking at that picture, and I'll bring up the bigger image. It's not that much bigger, but I'll bring it up so you can see what I'm looking at. But I've got a few things that I want to kind of be on the lookout for. Okay, where's a pointer brush? Right here. Whoops, right here. Okay, we've got in this area, which is just like its upper lip here, some really white areas that I want to preserve or want to try to preserve. We've got a couple of white-ish areas back here that I want to try to preserve. And then the rest of this is kind of a dull-ish white. I've got it mixed up here. It's a little bit of, to me, what I'm going to do, because these are the colors I have, it's a little bit of that green that I just used in the trees here. Maybe a little bit of that green gold thrown in there. And just a light smattering of color here. And then I'm going to bring that up and I'm going to start mixing in some of that nice olive green. And I've got some rocks. I've got some rocks I painted. And this is what I'm hoping to do with that. Right? So we'll get some of this lighter color. And then we'll get some of this green. We'll let those mix, and the further, oh, that's going to be way too strong. The further up this fish we go, the darker it's going to get. So we're going to have, along the body of this fish, a nice gradient, kind of like that. That's going to be kind of 3 colors all in one. Look at that. That kind of looks like the side of a fish there, right? It's got some nice dark on the top, some lighter colors down here. I think that's going to work out just about right. Edie says pyrethrums are insecticides, right, that are extracted from chrysanthemums. They're supposed to be safe for warm-blooded animals. It probably means safe when used as intended. Oops, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hit that. I only use them as intended. Kenya says, I have to leave early tonight. Good night. I wish I could stay. I really like how the background is developing. Kenya, thank you for stopping by. Before I splash my painting, thank you for stopping by. Always enjoyable to have you here. Hopefully, next week you can stay a little bit longer, but I totally understand. Have a great rest of your evening and a good time doing whatever it is you're moving on to doing. Okay, so with that, I need to grab a bit more of this yellow ochre, and I'm going to throw into it a little bit of this green gold here. I think that's going to be a good start for us. And I'm just going to start up here. And where it looks like I might need a little bit more green, I'll just throw a little bit more green in. And where I think it needs to stay the color it is, I'm going to let it stay the color it is. I'm trying to remember who asked the chicken question. Edie? Yes. Edie, do you know, this is the strangest story you will ever hear of. And I think the chicken's name was Mike. I believe it was Mike. But do you know the story of Mike the chicken that lived for years with his head cut off? True story. True story. Dwayne is here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Blue Mom, you asked. Is that, did you? Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I miss. Well, anyway, it doesn't matter. Blue. I'm totally sorry. I didn't mean to slight you for asking the question. But does anybody know the story of Mike the chicken? I would be surprised if you do. I will regale you with tales of Mike the chicken here. If you have not heard. And it actually is kind of a funny, weird story, but it's a funny, weird story. And if nobody knows, I will tell you the story. It doesn't have the happiest ending, though, as you can imagine, but it's still a fun story. Wow, there must have had force feed it. It had, so they did. So the funny thing was it was a prize chicken that used to travel around to state fairs and whatnot. And at the end of one season, they were going to, as people do, they were going to, butcher and eat the animal. And the axe swing didn't happen correctly. It didn't completely sever the head. It's fine. Have a good night. Oh, Blue, are you leaving? What? Oh, wait, did I miss something? I don't know. I'm ready. This bass is ready for a Sharknado. Dwayne. So anyways, the chicken didn't have its head severed all the way, and it continued to live. They were going to wait for it to die and just whatever, and it didn't. And it lived, and it continued to live, and it became a carnival attraction the next year. And they would take this around the country, and it went on for years. They would take this chicken around the country and show it off at state fairs and whatnot. And it lived for years and years. The only thing that happened with it is one year it accidentally got a bit of corn caught in its neck. They had to feed it through its neck, because how else are you going to feed a chicken that has its head mostly cut off? So they fed it through its neck, but it in essence choked on a piece of corn that they had fed it, and it eventually died. But lived for years and years and years. But that's Mike I swear it's Mike the chicken. One of America's craziest oddities in the history of our country. And why I know the story of Mike the chicken, I don't have any idea. It's just one of those things. Why do I? I'm not even sure where I heard the story of Mike the chicken. But Blue, are you taking off? If you are, thank you for stopping by. I'm glad you could be here, even if for a short amount of time. I hope you have a great rest of your evening. If I'm reading that wrong and you're staying, well, then just disregard that last comment, and I'm glad you're staying. Staying here. Okay. So now I've got a decision to make, right? I've got this fin. Why do I know? Dwayne, great question. I wish I had a great answer for you. I don't know. I've got a decision to make. This fin is darker, so I'm going to paint over it, and we'll paint dark over top of that later. But I want to get this color on the rest of this fish, and we'll see how it looks once it's there. I'm going to have some color and just kind of come on here. Oh, I painted over part of his fin there. Oh, that's not good. I'm going to have to see if I can get some of that color off of there. Mike the Chicken. I used to listen to stories of oddities and weird things. If you've ever, well, you all know, or if you don't, you should know. I love listening to pseudoscience podcasts and radio shows and whatnot. I'm a big fan of the search for Bigfoot and the Chupacabra and the Loch Ness Monster and all of those things, that those cryptids that you want to believe are real, that you just have a hard time believing, because why haven't we found anything else about them other than just, some weird stories here and there? But I think they're all fascinating. I want them all to be true. I don't necessarily think they're all true. There's no way most of them could be true, but I want to think they are, because they're fun stories. And so for a long time, I would seek out all kinds of different podcasts that would have crazy stories like that on it. And I'm betting that I heard it on one of those podcasts, and it just kind of stuck with me. Probably because I have chickens. And it sat in the recesses of my brain for a long, long time. And then it just came out, and I'm sorry, you all had to hear about it coming out of my brain, but so be it. It's a fun story. So I'm just coming down the back. I'm trying to connect the whiter area with the top of the back here, and I'm looking at it, and it's very green gold. It's pretty bright. We might have to tone that down just a little bit, but we're going to get to it. And I want to take a little bit of that color out right in this belly area. A little bit. My fish looks quite a bit fatter. If I'm looking at it, my fish looks quite a bit fatter than the one in the reference photo there. But it's okay. It's all good. I'm going to see if I can tone down that green gold just a little bit with a little bit of this olive green. I think that'll be fine. And I've got some white here that I want to make sure I preserve a bit of white here on these gills. I may have missed it, but that's okay. That'll be okay. I don't have to duplicate that reference photo. We have to pay homage to it. Well, that's all. And I'm going to give a little color back here on the tail. Dwayne, I haven't seen you since last week. I hope you had a good Father's Day. And I'm sure you've been told, but if you haven't, happy Father's Day to you. Happy belated Father's Day. Came a week late. Sorry about that. kind of how it goes sometimes. And I'm going to put this on, but I'm going to lighten this a little bit more as it comes out away from his body. All of these fins, I want them to be like a shade lighter. I want, when you look at these, they're attached to the fish, but they're a bit lighter, and there we go. And that way it gives us plenty of opportunity to manipulate them when we need to. It's going to be a little darker down towards the body itself, but then as it goes out towards the end of that fin, a little bit lighter, a little bit yellower, a little, I guess, a little less green, a little more ochre-y, maybe even a little bit of white out there. My fins aren't going to look anything like the fins that are in that reference photo, and that's okay. That's okay. Now, I do have this little bit where I forgot to draw that fin on there. Edie says, got to go, got to prep for bed. Have a great weekend. Edie, thank you for stopping by. Again, even though you're only here for a short amount of time, I appreciate that. I'm glad you stopped by and participated, so thank you for that. And I hope you have a great rest of your evening. I hope you have a great rest of your week. See, I'm going to pull a little bit of this color out of here. There we go. And we can still see that fin, but just a little tiny bit of blue coming behind it. That's the nice thing about not using a staining color, is that we have a lot of opportunity to do things like that. So do we lose? So we lost Edie, we lost Blue Mom, and we lost Kenya. Holy cow. Who's ever still here? Thank you, Vonda, over on Twitch. Hanging around. It looks like we got 3 people watching over on Twitch. Who's ever over there? Thank you for giving a view and say hello. I love talking to people. I would love to get to know you all a little bit. How did I pull color out? Okay, so if you're talking about my my fin right here, how did I do that? So I know that my flat brush here can take a little bit more pressure. These pointed round brushes, because they come to such a fine point, if I put pressure on, they just bend. This has got a little bit more oomph at the end of the bristle. So all I did was I took a little bit of water. I'll hold it up. You can still see just a little bit. And just rubbed back and forth on there. And it'll pick up any of the colors that are there. The brush will actually pick them up. They're on the brush. And then you just wipe them off. So they are not staining colors that I'm using, right? So like a quinacridone. Oh, I get to do another demo. Like staining colors. Phthalo blue is a staining color. If I put this on, all right, watch this. I put this on and let it set for a second. The edge of that is going to dry. And now if I go to manipulate this, it will forever, no matter what I do to it, it'll have a hard edge to it. Look at that, a hard edge. There are certain colors that do that. The quinacridone rose that I have, I believe, does that same thing. We're going to find out here in a second. And I know that the phthalo green, all the phthalos do it. The phthalo green is a staining color too. Let's just give it a little, do this a little exercise. All right, so now if I come back on my quinacridone rose and try to get rid of it, brush it off, I can lighten it a little bit, but I'm never going to ever get rid of it. I did a little better with the green, but you can still see it's right there. Now, this is more of a sedentary color. It's just going to kind of sit on top. If I use the yellow ochre, oh, come on, you can do a little better on that. Yellow ochre or some of this burnt umber, right? And let it sit there for a second and dry up. Then I should be able to basically do whatever I want to and remove most of the color of this. All right, all I have to do is scrub a little bit, and it's look, it's almost gone right there. And the same thing with this. Well, that wasn't even dry yet, so that was even easier. But it's knowing the paints that you use and knowing what you can do with each of them. So I used basically cerulean blue up here, cerulean blue. All the ceruleans are a sedentary color. They don't stain. They just kind of sit on the top, and you can pull them off and do whatever you want to with them. Not that big of a deal. Okay, cool. So now we've got the work to do, right? Now's where everything's going to get fun. We've got one layer basically of all of our colors on here. All we have to do, thank you. You're totally welcome. All we have to do is everything else. How hard can it be? I'm going to start by putting in some details up here on this fish, and I'm going to actually get a slightly smaller brush. And because I want certain areas to stand out more than others, I'm going to paint it my way, which is totally cool. My fish is going to end up not looking anything like the fish that we see there. I'm going to paint that. I'm going to paint this a couple of colors, and I'm going to pull those up this way and just start blending these up. And what I want to do is get those colors up there a little bit, and then I'm going to do some negative painting a little bit on some other areas. So this is going to be darker down here where the color's lighter, and lighter up here to more match the color that's up top up there. Hopefully those colors roll right into each other, but all I care about is the bottom down here. That's it. That's all I'm worried about. I'm going to kind of do the same thing over here. Let's see. I got to go really dark right out here. And this is a little darker than I really want to go, but I have to do it because I want it to stand out from the background, right? And this is all predicated on how dark that background is. And I want to make sure I've got a gentle gradient right back to that other lip section. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Look at how that comes right around. Lovely, lovely, lovely. So we've got, in essence, there. We've got, in essence, the first layer of the jaw on there. Now, while we're waiting for this, we can do some reds here. A little bit of this quinacridone. That's going to be awfully pink, so we'll throw some this quinacridone rose and pyrrole red. If we get a little bit of that blue in there, that's okay, because I want to get a little bit of color inside this fish's mouth here. Just pink that up a little bit. Is that really the color that the inside of a fish's mouth is? No, not really. That's okay. It's totally fine. It's totally fine. And I don't want to push too far at the moment. I'll put a little bit more in there, maybe even a little bit more blue. Let's purple that down a little bit. Ooh, I like that. I don't want to make that too dark. I don't want to make that too dark, but I want to have some color in there, right? I don't want to make it too dark because I've got that dark lip there. So I don't want to make it too dark. And now I've touched the two colors together. So I'm going to leave it like that. We'll come back for another layer on there. It's going to look good. It's going to look good. I promise you it's going to look good. But we're starting to build up some dimensionality in here, right? And you know what I see in here is a little bit of orange. Right in through here. Maybe there's a little bit of a red tint in through here. Let's throw some of this color on. This guy's got some nice color to him. Okay. And all of these colors, we put them on a little bit here and a little bit here, there, and a little bit here and a little bit there. Hopefully they're just going to start to add a layer here and add a layer there, add some interest here. None of these need to be very heavy. None of them, not one of them. Why did I drip some water on there? Need to be heavy at all. But I can take all my colors and I can start just giving the indication of where there might be something, right? In this case, a little bit the front bit of his gill right there. Right? Maybe there's a little bit down here, a little room for some color here and there. We put a little bit of this green color down there with those other colors. Might look nice. And let's see, what else can we do? Yes, I'm stalling on the water a little bit. I'm purposely pushing the water back out a little bit. But we can, this is dry now. Oh, let's see, you know what? Let's come up and do a little bit more on the helmet here. So the helmet, I used a bit of turquoise. I want this helmet to shine brightly. Right, so I'm going to put on some of this turquoise, and I'm going to put another layer on right over top of what we have already done. Right around that button right there. The clasp? No, not a clasp. What do you call that? Rivet. That rivet. So that so that the straps will hang on there. And let's see how it's going to look. I think with the dark on those edges, it's going to look really nice. We bring some of this color up. Right? And so while we're here and while we're just watching, let's take a poll, an unofficial poll, because I'm running the show by myself here. I guess I could stop and do the poll, but let's take a poll on what we want to paint next week. Let's do that. Anybody have any ideas on what we should paint together next week? And it doesn't have to be a super huge fleshed out idea, just a general topic area. Ooh, if you've got one, would be cool. Because I do like painting a certain way, and I do like painting a certain thing, but I also like doing things that are going to keep people engaged and involved, and I want to know what you guys would like to see. And so often, if you guys want to see it and I haven't done it, it'll be like a challenge to me, and that's always exciting. So cool. Look at the helmet now, right? Whoops. Now there's more going on there, right? That first layer, it looked a little odd. Now there's a bit more going on. I like it a bit more. I guess I went back to grabbing a bigger brush. I'm more comfortable with a little bit bigger brush. I guess is what that means. I'm more comfortable with a little bit bigger brush than not. I wouldn't necessarily have thought that, but who's there? Inner cuneiform. All right. Hello. Welcome. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for saying hello. I don't know that I've seen you before. I'm glad you're here. If there's anything you want to talk about, throw it out there. I say it all the time. I enjoy talking while I paint. I enjoy the interaction. And I always think if I can talk while I paint, if I can tell you what I'm doing, it probably means I know what I'm doing or why I'm doing it. If I can't do that, then what am I doing here? and also it probably takes away some of the overthinking of whatever it is that I'm doing, and makes painting in some ways probably a little bit easier. So thanks for jumping on, or thanks for contributing to the stream. Okay, what paint palette are you using? So what paint palette am I using? So I'm going to answer that in two different ways, because I think there are two different ways that could be answered. The first answer is going to be, what physical palette am I using? So my physical palette is by a company called Color Around, and they make knockoff palettes. Okay, they make cheap. Ooh, that was more red than I wanted. They make cheap, I'll just call it what it is, watercolor palettes. If you bought this same palette from Holbein, who really is the company that originated this type of palette, this enameled tin palette, it's even got an H right there for, they didn't even change that from the model that they used. If you bought that palette as it is from Holbein, that would probably cost you, I don't know, somewhere in the neighborhood of $60 to $80. Well, $60 to $80 when I bought that palette. Now, I'm not sure how much it would cost you. Over $100 probably would be my guess. And I bought this Color Around palette for, I'm going to say, about $20. So that's one way to answer that question. The other way to answer that question is, how did I come up with this color palette that I'm using, right? How did I get the colors that I'm using in this palette? And that has a less interesting answer to it. Part of the answer is, these were colors that I bought originally, and a couple of them are still hanging around, and I like them and I didn't want to get rid of them. And some of them are from a decision that I made to do one of two things. The first was, I wanted to include in my palette some of the colors that Impressionist painters used, right? Yes, you can say, well, that's weird because Impressionist painters traditionally were oil painters, and fine, I can live with that. But the color palette is roughly the same, and so I wanted to represent some of that. And so that's why I have the yellows that I have. That's why I have the phthalos that I have in here. They were a big fan of phthalo green and phthalo blue. But then I also wanted to incorporate some of the colors that I see in nature around me. When I started this whole palette, I was painting a lot more outdoors, and taking this palette with me and going and painting around. And then, so I got all of those colors. Some have been added, some have been taken away over the years. And then I arranged them in a pattern that I like, which are yellows, reds, greens, and blues, right? Or purple down to yellow, green, and blues up that way. And they kind of make the circle this way. Now you got to make some, you got to make some considerations for what you have, right? Purples down to reds, down to yellows, right? Orange has got to be in here. Brown, you got to find a place for brown. So brown I threw in with the reds just because it needed a place. And then I started greens over here because greens are halfway between yellows and blues. And then my blues. And then I had them arranged at one point in time, warm to cold, warm to cold, warm to cold. And I could just grab it. And then I had this whole little area in the corner over here, which I'm not sure you can see. Can you see? You can't see. This whole area in the corner are just neutrals for me. Let's see. JC says, oh, this painting brought up the memories of the Don Knotts movie where he was a fish. Oh, I forgot all of Don Knotts movie where he was a fish. I kind of remember that. Holy cow. I was not channeling my inner Don Knotts when I when I decided to do this, but I do kind of remember that. That's actually kind of a bit funny. Let's see. I need to. So is my helmet dry? The helmet's kind of dry. I want to give a little darker area right up underneath this helmet. I think I'll get away with it with a green and a blue here. And it'll be just kind of like a shadow underneath here. So, inner cuneiform, I hope that answered your question. I think that should answer your question. However you meant to ask it, whatever you were hoping to get, you probably got more of an answer than you thought you were going to get. You got more than you bargained for on that one, but that's the answer. It was a lot of trial and error and discovery, and I think I came up with something that works pretty much for anything I do. And I like this palette so much, and I'm talking the colors here, not necessarily what the colors are on, that I have kept it largely intact for about a decade. I haven't changed anything out in roughly a decade on it. And it just continues to work for me. Yes, there are some things I have trouble painting. If I paint flowers, I typically throw this whole thing out the window and grab a different palette from a different company. I typically will use my Daniel Smith palette for that. But for most things, oh, Mr. Limpet, oh my God. For most things, that's how I decided on my palette. That's where I'm at with it, and that's how I got to it. And then the color around palette, which ties it all together, which in my opinion makes everything worth it. The incredible Mr. Limpet. Dwayne, did you look that up? Seriously, you had to have looked that up. I spent years with palettes like this. I just happen to have this here. I've probably got tins this size. I've probably got, I don't know, a dozen of these. Right? And they are what they are, right? You open them up. They've got a place you put your finger through, and you hold them. They're very nice. This one has Prima colors in it. It's a cheap tin. Fine. It's an on-the-go, quick kind of a thing. Yep, I started with those two. They're okay. Yeah. But I've got so many of these, and I've made my own. I've bought these pans. These are half pans. I bought half pans. I've got 50 half pans in there. And then I have this thing's big brother where it's 24 or 48. I've got one that will hold 24 full pans or 48 half pans. I've got lots of these. I like these. I don't love these. This I love. I love the slanted wells. Everything rolls back into it. You get some water in it, rolls back into it. And if you're traveling or something, this may not be the most practical thing, but it works. And if you want to take it out with you, you can always go like that, or better yet, just like that. And you can hold it really steady and paint with it however you want. When you're done, you flip that back down and you're ready to have it in the studio again. And you can buy these color around palettes with 8 trays in it, or you can buy it with, I think I've seen it up to 36 trays in it. Pretty outstanding. Let's see. I want to drop down a brush size, but I'm not sure which one I want to drop to. Let me grab another one out of here. JC says, I've made a bunch of different little palettes with combos like that. I like together. Yeah, there you go. It's my mood painting method. I also use the white palettes and dishes that I buy cheap from Goodwill. I've got probably a dozen of those too. The cheap white ones. I should grab some of them. I'll grab some. If you guys want to see them, I'll grab a couple of them and bring them out here and show you what I'm talking about. Anybody want to see that? I'll grab a couple and you can see what I'm talking about. And for all of them, one of the important things is that you make a swatch card. Right? I never used to think swatch cards were very important, but I do more than ever. I think that swatch cards are an important part of your life as a watercolor painter, because you never know what you're going to run across when you're painting. You want to know if you mix your colors, are you mixing a staining color with a non-staining color, with a sedentary color, or is the color you're about to put on a little bit more opaque, especially if it's a palette you haven't used in a long time. You want to make sure you know all of that stuff. Ooh, there you go. Now I just made that lip stand out and his upper lip stand out quite a bit. I like that. Let's look. Okay, cool. Let me grab a couple of them. I'll be right back after these messages. We'll be right back. Oh, here's one. Here's one. Here's one. I got a few. Yo, here's just a couple I grabbed right away, right? And I know I have some cooler ones than this too. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Ugh. I'm gonna have a lot to clean up when I'm done here. So this one is probably 8, maybe 10. I put this one together for a watercolor class I took, 5 or 6 years ago now, and they wanted us to have a few basic colors. So I put this together. Again, this is a color around palette. Here's its big brother. Whoa, sliding off my table. This is the big brother. This is the big brother of this one too, right? And these are my Holbein paint, or I'm sorry, these are not my Holbein paints. These are my Daniel Smith paints. Same kind of a deal though, but more trays. And again, I've got the card here so I can see how transparent the colors are. If they're sedentary, you can see it right out. If they're staining, you'll be able to pick that up. So that's a nice palette right there. That's an expensive palette. These ones these are my Mission paints. These are all Mission colors. I bought a set of Mission paints. You can see there were some fillers in there. This is cracked over time, but these are full pans. Love these. Ugh. I haven't used those in a while though. I don't know what these ones are here. These are, okay, cool. So these, I believe, are Winsor Newton paints, except for that one, which is Kuretake. But I like that color green. It's obviously a lesser color or a lesser pigment. But I like these, right? And that's, whoops, wrong one. That's a different one. And I've got this one, which is really cool. This one had some professional color painting in it. And if you've never seen these before, oh, there's no trays in it. You can open this up and hold this in your hand, right? This slides on. This, oh, there's still some in there. This holds water. You dump it in there. You put it back on there. It doubles as a mixing tray. And then you got 3 other mixing trays. And this holds, I don't know, 12 half pans. That's kind of cool. and then it all folds up. It's ridged on the bottom, so you can't put them in out of order. You got to put them in the right order. Flap, flap. Whoops. Well, that's got to come off. Flap and right on, and then you got a cool little carrying case right there. And then I've got I don't know, 30 of these or something like that. So if I ever teach a class or a few people at a time, I take these and just put some paints in there. People can have fun with it. And then I don't know what this one is. What is this one? This is not marked. These are Winsor Newton Cotman paints. I can tell by them in just a travel tin, and these go with me, or used to go with me from time to time. So I've got a number of them, and they're all kind of interesting in their own way. I track which are staining versus sedimentary. I use staining on first layer and sedimentary on second layer. I've gotten real muddy messes when I use sedentary on first layer and then a staining paint over top. That's interesting. I don't know that I've noticed that I have that trouble either way. I'm not saying that that's not a thing. I'm certainly not saying that's not a thing. I don't know that I've necessarily noticed that, especially getting mud like that. But it is a curiosity. Watercolor paints do weird things. That's why people always claim watercolor paints are the hardest medium that you're ever going to use, because they do weird things. They certainly do weird things. All right, watch this. I'm gonna give some color on the inside of this fin here, and I'm gonna really drag this out. Let's get a nice gradation on this one. And I'm obviously going to have to use some white on this. All right, if you're a traditionalist, I'm sorry. It's going to happen. Just go with it for a couple of minutes. Everything will be fine. I got into a big argument with a friend of mine, a watercolor painter friend of mine, whether white is a legitimate color in watercolors. I'm like, of course it's a legitimate color. Who cares? No, you can't use white. White's not a real watercolor color. And what do you mean watercolor? White's not a real color. Of course it's a real color. John Singer Sargent used white in his. No. He only used it as a last resort because he couldn't do something else. I'm like, nah, you're nuts. Lots of the original watercolor artists used white. They did use it sparingly, but they all used white in their paintings. So I'm going to use it. I use it very sparingly, but I'm not afraid to use it. And that looks a little too yellow, so I'm going to take a little bit of that water off of there, and I'm going to substitute just a little bit of paint for that water, and I'm going to darken this up a little bit. And because it's watercolors, and because I like to pretend that I have full control over everything that happens with my watercolors, I can I'm telling you I can. I'm not telling you, I'm telling you I can just do whatever I want to with that color, and it'll be totally fine. So there you go. There's a flipper. There's a flipper. Wouldn't you like to be a flipper too? And now we've got another one down here. Maybe this is not quite as dark. This fin's going to have a little bit of darkness to it too. Ooh, that's going to be good. It's going to be good. Over on Twitch, inner cuneiform. I don't have my two-way integration for chat hooked up properly. I keep saying I'm going to get it fixed, and somehow I find reasons not to. So you're not seeing anything that the YouTube chatters are saying, but I'm reading them all out. I liked your question. If you have any other questions, please throw them out there. Would love to continue to talk and answer questions. It's just kind of what I do. I think I probably paint too fast, and I probably talk too much for what I get done, but that's okay. Oh, JC says competitions still are strict about white, but most people just want good paintings with white or not. Right. I find the Daniel Smith white watercolor ground works great. Technically not white watercolor. Well, yeah, I'm not using actually white watercolor either. I'm using white gouache. In my opinion, white watercolor is, what's the word I'm looking for? Terrible. But white gouache, and I do have it on good authority that John Singer Sargent did not use white watercolor. He used white gouache when he had to paint things white. So I feel completely justified in that. As much as that matters, which is not at all. And competitions can be upset or not upset. It bothers me not. Okay. So now on the dorsal fins here, we can be a little bit more aggressive with the color on these because we're going to adjust the color on the back of this fish. And so we can be a bit aggressive here. So it's too bad Blue Mom had to leave. She always threw out a bunch of questions there. JC, I'm glad you're picking up the mantle and asking questions. Very much appreciate you doing that. It's keeping the flow going. I forgot I should pull the color back to where I want it, not push it away from where I want. All right, you know what? Let's mix some orange or something in here too. Let's not be so boring as to make this one color. Let's put some orange in there. Mix this up a little bit. Maybe let's throw a little bit of that red in there. Make it look a little bit. A little bit of color is going to add so much interest to it. When you're painting it, you never think it's going to add much. You're just going to put a little bit of something on here, and you're going to go, I don't know if it's even worth it. And then you get done with the painting, and you're like, holy cow! All of a sudden, it looks great having that color on there. Why don't I do that with more stuff? The answer is, I don't know. We all do the same thing. But I'm not going to do it tonight. Tonight I'm going to throw a little extra color in there. All right. And I'm getting these fins going here. Let's get some of that orange in there. This is gamboge, not really an orange. It's a yellow, I should say. But on my palette, I have them listed as yellows. In my mind, I have them listed as yellows, and I always refer to them all as oranges. And it's weird, and every time I do it, I go, I shouldn't do that. I should do that a different way, and I never do. And that's okay. That's totally fine. All right, cool. I like where our fins are at here. I think we need a little bit more on our helmet here. I'm liking where the head is going, where his head is going. We're getting there with it. I'm going to mix in a little bit more color around here. Every time I look at a fish like this, I'm like, yeah, there's a lot of green in there. I'm like, but I don't want to paint it green. I want to paint something else. Vonda's here, looking great. I'm watching on the TV now. All right, cool. I'm on the big screen. I'm on the big screen. I made it. Hey, Mom, I made it. I'm on the big screen. Let's give some color to his tail. Right? Bass have a definite line of demarcation. You can tell where their tail starts and where their tail stops. The tail fins, I guess I should say. The tail itself, I guess you could make the argument that it covers more than just the fins, but I'm just talking about where the fins are. And you know what? We had some orange and some red in these other fins. Let's give some orange in this too. A little bit of this red. Fire that up a little bit. Whoa, let's get some of that red off of there now. We don't want too much on there, but cool. All right. And probably you put a little bit of this green on there. It's going to gray that right down anyways, but it's just going to give that little hint of color, which we're really going to like when we get to the end of this painting. All right, so we've got some cool areas here. Right? I look at this and I love the way this tail is starting to look. I like the way some of these fins are starting to look. They have, you know, that quality that I look for, that I call it that watercoloriness, right? Whatever that is. You can call it whatever it is, or you can name it something else. Right? It's that cool quality that watercolor paintings have that not other paintings get, because they can't blend color like that. There's no way that they can get the blending, get the gradation, get the flow of color the way watercolors do. That's what makes watercolors so cool. I'm going to get on my watercolor pulpit and start preaching here in a minute because it's so true. Right? Watercolors have this ineffable quality that no other medium has. It makes it so almost ethereal like, but maddening to work with and frustrating as all get out. But in the end, when you're done with it, with your painting that you've done this way, you end up with something that looks so fantastic. And everybody who ever looks at your painting goes, I don't have any idea how you did that. And you just go, yeah, well, you know, it's because it's watercolor painting. It's because I'm that good, and because it's a watercolor painting. Oh, okay, cool. And it's right, and you're right. Right? If you can paint that and get that cool watercoloriness, that's a big feather in your cap, because it's such a cool skill. And I'm just trying to give a little extra definition to the jaw of this fish here. We might actually come back and put some more reds and purples and greens or something in here. I think there needs to be a line right about there, I think. I don't know. I think we need something there. Let's take that edge off a little bit. Cool. So to me, you get all those lines in there, and that looks like something that fish could, you know, all that skin gets all bunched up when his mouth is closed. And it's a bass, right? He's got this giant mouth. When that thing opens, he needs to be able to flare it open. So we need to demonstrate that we've got all of that in there. And we're doing it, right? We're doing it by putting all these lines on here. And anybody who knows anything about fish, anybody who's ever seen a fish, when they look at this picture, they're going to go, okay, cool, I get it. I totally understand what you're trying to do there. Either that, or you're gonna blame it on me and go, nah, yeah, this weirdo guy on YouTube suggested I do this, and I kind of wish I hadn't have done it. But I think in the end, you're gonna end up with something that looks great if you spend a little bit of extra time of painting something like this. And look at the detail up there. That's fantastic. Let's see, what do we got to go? Oh my Lord, we've been doing this for an hour and a half already. Oh, it feels, honestly, I start doing this and it feels like it's been, 35 minutes or 40 minutes or something like that. And I look up and how did I get to? There's no way I've gotten to an hour in an hour and a half. It doesn't happen. That's okay. I'm gonna make it work. I'm taking a little bit of sepia in here. Sepia to me is a neutral color. Where'd the thing I just put down here? Let's use the back side of this. Sepia is a neutral. It's not particularly bright. It's a dull-ish brown, right? It's a brown. But I think if we put it with a little bit of our what is this color? Olive green. Thank you. Put it with a little bit of this olive green. It's going to match. Look at it matches really nicely. And I was thinking about using it for some of the lines on the fins. And I think it'll go really nicely on here. It'll give a little darkness without blowing up the whole fin there. So let's see what we can do. Let's see if I can do some of this, like I said, without blowing everything up. So I want to tell a little story here, and this is a true kind of a thing. All it really means is I've got another painting to do. But I do this little painting every week, and I think I do a good job with it. I try to do a good job with it. Some weeks are better than others, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I had a friend come up to me, a coworker, and she was like, "Yeah, my dog recently passed away, and I would really love a painting of my dog." And I'm like, "I don't really do pet paintings. My thing is much more goofy than pet paintings." And she laid it on real thick, and I'm feeling bad. And I'm like, "Okay, fine, I'll try pet painting. No promises for anything." And I did this painting, and I got about halfway through with it, and I went, "Oh my God, this is horrible. This is terrible. I don't know if I can do this anymore." I mean, that's not really the story. The story is, what I didn't like about it was I was using my lights and my darks wrong. And so I just painted, dark areas on here, which for the ribs of these fins. And a lot of people would go, no, that probably should be something a lot lighter. I think, take this for what it's worth, in my opinion. It's not going to matter one iota whether it's a light or a dark color on your fin. It's whatever you want it to be. That's going to make it the best color it can be, the best painting it can be. But when I did it on hers, I tried to get the lights light and the darks dark, and that's not kind of how I paint. And I couldn't give it to her. It's like, I'm going to have to hold off for another while until I get this thing right. But I know everywhere that I painted light, like white hair and white around the edges of some fur and stuff, I'm like, that just needs to be darker. Like, why did I think I should paint that really light? So I did a little test of it. I was like, oh my God, it looks so much. It doesn't look anything like her dog. so, sorry about that one. Your dog is somewhat recognizable, but the painting looks so much better. I don't know if she's gonna, I don't know if she's gonna forgive me for painting her dog that doesn't look anything like her dog, but, but it's gonna have to be fine-ish. All right, I'm just trying to get a little color on here. That might have been a bit bright. And oh, that's all right. I think it's going to be all right. Get some color on here. I want this color really to start after that gill. Let's bring that down a little bit. Because we need to put some dark bands on this fish, right? We need to put some dark on here. Bass have these dark spots on them. And we don't have any dark spots on ours. And we need some darker spots on ours. We don't have those. We don't have a good fish. Well, we have a good fish. It just won't be anywhere near what I thought it was going to be like. So we're going to, so my mom used to say stuff like this. You're going to do this whether you want to do this or not. Okay. All right. Thanks, Ma. You're making me really want to do that. It's really sounding good now. Oh, my God. She used to say that all the time. You're going to like this whether you like this or not. Oh, really? Are you sure about that? Because I'm not 100% on that. Yes, you are, and don't talk back to me. Okay. All right, Ma. I got you. I got you, Ma. My Ma. I love my Ma. She's not always an easy woman to get along with, but she's my Ma. She's the one I got. I really love my Ma. All right, what do we need? We got an eye. We got a whole eye we need to do something with here. What? Who was supposed to tell me about the eye here? Whose turn was it to keep me on track? Actually, I don't think we're far off. I don't think we're far off the pace where I think we ought to be. Might be a touch behind. I think we're going to do good. We're going to catch up here. And we're going to end up with something that looks fantastic. It's going to look really nice. I do need to do a little bit more with the helmet. All right, I painted the whole eye, and I don't necessarily need the whole eye. All I want to get is right around that eye with this color. But because this color is going to be lighter than everything else, I can paint over it with something heavier. And Mike White Corner is here. Welcome back. Glad to have you back. Don't worry, we weren't talking about you. I mean, maybe we were, but I'm not going to admit to it. Oh, you know what I have to do? I can paint my buckle silver here. I got to wait for that whole thing to dry. And I got to wait for that to dry. So now I've probably got to do one of two things here. Let's put some of this olive green over here. So who, Inner Cuneiform over on Twitch asked me why I choose my colors. And I said, well, one big reason is because I really like the colors that I have here. They remind me of what I have around here. And now here's a good thing. I'm just gonna take some of my darker, same color family that we've been using here, olive green. I'm going to mix a little bit of blue in with this. I'm going to take it up a little bit the side of this fish. Hopefully we got a little bit of that blue tint in here, and it pushes this background back a little bit behind this fish where we have lights and darks. I'm a big fan of lights and darks. We all know I'm a big fan of making your lights lights, making your darks dark. Right? We all know that. But I can take this right up the side here now, and we can add kind of a whole nother layer to our middle ground. Right? We're going to have this dark-ish area. We can do the same thing kind of on this side over here too. Right? There's some weeds in front of that more, what do we call that? That open shoreline. That's right there. And then this can just come up, just, I don't know, something like that. It can come up here. This is just darken some of these trees. That's all that really is. All right, there's not anything special about that. I'm going to drop a little bit of blue right back in here though. Boom, a little bit of that blue in there. All I'm really doing is trying to help this fish stand out a little bit more. I want this fish, even though he's jumping out of the water, I want him to jump off the page. How's that? Boom, boom. I'll be here all night. Well, I won't be here all night. I'll be here for a little while longer. If you had a waiter or a waitress, I'd say tip your waiter or your waitress. You're stuck with me though, so there's always that. Right, and we get some darks that come up into these trees up here somewhere. This is where working as an impressionist might actually help you a little bit, or not. Or maybe sometimes a little less is a little more. Oh, I think that'll probably be fine. Let's bring that up a little bit. There we go. So we can see that whole background there. This guy's way in front. Oh, now he looks way in front of that. Oh, that's so much better. That looks so much better. Don't you think? That fish, he looks like he's leaping, literally leaping out of the water now. Leaping off of the page. Uh-oh. I heard a chicken outside. I hope they're going to bed. I hope they're going to bed. All right, there we go. There's our shoreline. That's all I want to do with my shoreline. But look, when we did that whole fish now it looks so much more impressive. It looks so much further forward now. Just adding that dark back there. And I'm not going to add any more dark here. I think if I added more dark here, maybe, I don't know. Ooh, I don't want to. I want to, but I don't want to. Does that make any sense? What I am going to do, so I'm going to mix up a warm black. So for me, that's going to be a little bit of sepia and a little bit of the black. I just have my black stuffed in the corner right here. And I'm going to get some of these other colors out of my way. There we go. My quiet corner. Carol says great painting. And Dwayne says love it. Thank you guys. I appreciate that. Appreciate that. He does look, but honestly, he does. I painted that background black, and all of a sudden, the whole painting just came alive in a moment, didn't it? I mean, it just started popping off. And now we've got this hard. This is the hard part. This is a very hard part because bass have these black marks that go down the side of them. I didn't paint. I didn't paint ribs on the. Oh, we're gonna have to do that. Okay, but bass have these black marks that come down the side. This one maybe not quite as much, but we still got to get some on there. If they didn't have them on there, he probably wouldn't be a bass. And they're not necessarily in any real geometric order, but they do have to be straight down his back. And I know I did this on a previous painting and I thought they turned out great. Let's hope they turn out just as well here. I'm gonna bring this up a little warm. Bring this up behind his eye and over there. And I'm going to mix this with a little bit of my green here. And give a dark line underneath that helmet. Ooh. All right, and I saw that my frame rate dropped real quick. I don't like that. I don't know why it does that. It's trying to tell me to wrap it up, I think is what it's trying to tell me. We still have a little bit of time here. And I actually think this fish is starting to look really good. I love the a little bit darker up here on the back. I really like. Of course, I've become a fan of darker colors in general. I know it sounds weird with watercolors, but not dark like, you know, everything is blacked out, but just taking the colors that we use and making them, pushing the limits on them a little bit, making them stand out a little bit more, to me is something that really is exciting. Oh yes, a little bit more right down the back down here. Okay, ooh. And he looks like a bass. Totally looks like a bass to me. I think he's looking great. I want to get a little bit more color in the middle of him somehow. Right? I think I'm missing a little bit of something. That's going to be too dark if I do it like here. I'm missing a little something in here. So I want to make sure I get something in here. And of course, come on, I want to be able to pull this out. I don't want too much here. Okay, good. Okay. Good. Okay, cool. I love his hell. I need to do more on his helmet. I don't think his helmet is quite right. But I can't do his helmet because that's wet and I can't touch that. Okay. So take it easy for a second, Michael. Don't rush it. We're coming to the end of something that looks really good. Don't rush it and blow it now. But I do need to see how these go on the tail. These are going to be pretty basic ones. Okay, I'm going to go back to a little larger brush, and I'm going to use the same color I'm going to add a little bit more to seat these in just a little bit. I will have to try this one. Who said, my quiet corner, you're going to try this one? I think if I didn't put this reference photo up on Discord, I will. It should, I think it's, oh God, I think it's there, but I'm not sure now. But it should be there. It will be there if it's not there. And then you can try this exact one and have fun doing this. I think, so I'm going to tell you my thoughts, whether you want my thoughts or not. I think painting something like this, I know this is not a high art piece. I know this is, a lot of people are going to look at this and go, oh my God, that is completely ridiculous. And in my mind, that's kind of the point. I think it's completely ridiculous, because it is, but it's also hugely enjoyable and fun and funny. And if you can't get behind that kind of artwork, then I don't know what's going on. But I have a lot of paintings in my office at work, which is where this is more than likely going to end up there, hanging on my wall. And I'm okay with that. And I will bet you that more people will come by and take a look at this and go, oh my God, that is hysterical. And they will stop and they will stare at this for hours on end. Much more so than they will any of the traditional paintings that I have hanging up, of which I probably have, I don't know, 20 or so hanging up. People look at the traditional paintings and they go, yeah, no, that's quite nice. No, I really like that. That's good. And then they'll look at something like this, or they'll look at the flamingo that we did a couple of weeks ago, or they'll look at the aliens and they'll look at it and they'll shake their heads and they'll start to laugh. And I think that's part of what I think art is all about, is getting people to just relax and enjoy and have a little fun with something for a moment or two. It would really pain me. It would really hurt me if I was the only one who thought this was really a funny painting and it went up on my office wall or wherever its final home is going to be, and people just kind of went, I'd be like, oh, come on. This is what art should be. Art doesn't have to be the Sistine Chapel. Art doesn't have to be a Passo Piccolo or a Rembrandt or a Gustav Klimt or anything like that, right? It doesn't have to be that. It has to be something that makes you emote something, have an emotion. Tell me you hate it. Cool. I'm good with that too. Tell me you hate it. Tell me how bad it is. Tell me how ridiculous it is. I can live with that. I'd be fine with that, because it tells me I got to you. I made you think about it. Why would you paint that? Why? Makes no sense. Yeah, no. It took me a long time in my art career to understand that, or to get to that point. I'm going to put a little black around his eye there before I put the pupil in. Right? And hopefully that just gives it a little oomph to the outside, a little darkness on the outside. The fish eyes aren't very bright. The fish might be bright. The fish probably smarter than the fishermen. It's what makes your heart and soul happy. Thank you. That's exactly it. And it should. And if it doesn't, something is drastically wrong. Now I like I like turquoise and Payne's gray for a little bit of a metal color here. Oh, I can't do that because that's wet. Why is everything wet on me? But what we can do, look, there's my white gouache. Oh man, this is gonna, I feel like I need a whole different something here. I got this out. Let me clean this off a little bit. Maybe it's who suggested I get these out? Maybe this might have ended up being a good idea because I can put some white gouache on here and not have to worry about taking it right out of. Ooh, that's a big glob of it. I don't know how much we're going to need. But we won't have to worry about taking it, putting it on my good palette over there and doing anything with it. Is this all dry down here? This is all dry. Okay, good. Oh boy, here we go. While we're waiting for the chin strap to dry there. No, I don't really know how this is going to go. I don't have any idea. What I do want to do, though, is, well, let me get some more of this white on here. Let's see, we've got some of this that flips up this way. We've got some that comes right down to the tail. I want to get a good white base on here for this water. Come on, this is a little thicker than I want. I don't normally paint water, I'll be honest with you. And I'm not entirely certain what I'm doing here, but we're gonna have a little bit of fun with this and figure it out. So one of the things I want to do, ooh, dirty water, clean it in the dirty water. Now I want to clean that out. I want to mix in a little bit of this lake water color, right? I don't want this to be totally white. Actually, we can even mix in a little bit of this green in here. And this is going to be more white through here. Anybody else nervous about this than me? Nervous about what this might end up looking like? A giant white mess down here that has no bearing on anything? Or is that just me? Because really, I don't know how to paint water. I've had this conversation with myself a million times. Quite seriously, I'm like, I live 1,000 paces from the Pacific Ocean. Why is it that I do not know how to paint water? That should be the first thing I ever learned when I started painting here, was how to do that. And I have no clue. I want to get some splash marks over top of this fish. I don't want to leave him just kind of hanging out there in the water. I think what I should have done was gotten a more beat up brush. Dwayne's got it's perfect. Dwayne, you're always so nice. Dwayne's saying perfect. And behind the scenes, he's going, oh my God, what's he doing? Because I'm doing the same thing. Dwayne's going, he's not really going to do that, is he? Yes, he is. Oh, he is. It kind of looks like a big splash here, I think. Does it not? I think it does. I think it kind of does. I may have gotten a bit too much blue in this bit right there, but I think it, I mean, yeah, let me take some of this blue out. Add a little bit more white right in there. Better. That's more splashy. Is that a word? That's more splashy. And we got to get some of this green in here to reflect some of this other. I just want this really mottled. Really mottled. Right up over the bank. Terrified. Completely terrified. All right, I need to stop that for a second. Although I have to, it does look like, and I'm trying to make it lead right. He's jumping this way, so I think he's, in my mind, kind of in that picture. I don't think it shows it quite like I would show it, but right, like he's throwing some water up this way. It does. The more I'm looking at it, I'm like, bonus texture. It does kind of look like he's jumped out of the water. Completely surprising to me. Let me mix a little bit of this black. He's got a pupil here. I'm gonna say it's round. And we'll come back with a highlight there. And I know that I need, right, if you've ever worn one of these like skateboard helmets, right, this is a California bass. So he's got to have a skateboard helmet on, because why would he not? Oh, you know what I should have done? I should have put him in a wetsuit and a surfboard. That would have been funny. A fish in a wetsuit. That would have been something. There you go. He's got a couple of those holes on that helmet. Oh, I got a whole fin here I haven't put on. Holy cow. Oh, and this is going to be terrible. I just stuck my thumb in it. It's going to be like a Jackson Pollock now. It's going to have, oh, my water is just completely nasty. Oh, hold on a second. Look at my water. Oh, yuck. My water is that white gouache. It's just, yeah. All right, let's see. If I can reach over here and paint a fin on here. Splash it on. He's got a fin right here, and our reference picture, it's kind of orangey red. I kind of like that because it's still within our colors that we've been using, but it's just different enough that oh man, I got white everywhere. Hold on a second. I gotta get this off of here. I got white everywhere on my palette. Oh, it's on my colors. Holy cow. I just want to get a little extra color on this, on part of this. No, I gotta wait. Okay, so we got a couple more minutes. But how fun of a painting does this look? Oh, you know, we got some... Somebody almost let me forget this. We got a couple rivets up here. There's a rivet. There's a rivet. How fun of a painting. And look, he's totally jumping out of the wall. Oh, look, by default, I just reached for this to do a highlight. Because I always want to highlight the eye right there. Let's give a highlight along this edge. Just a couple of highlights here and there. I actually really like the Sino pen when it works. Sometimes it works better than other times. Oh, now I didn't do the buckle either. I'm really slipping. Oh, I got the whole buckle to do here. Oh. All right. Actually, I really like those. Those are good pens. Dwayne, these are good pens. Where did I put it? I bought a pack of these a while ago, and I use these all the time. They're fantastic pens. They're fantastic pens. I have not one complaint ever with any of the Sino pens, other than from time to time, and it's probably my fault as much as anything, they don't always work on whatever it is they don't always write on whatever it is you're working on. Like I said, probably as much my fault as anybody's fault. I'll take the blame for that one, but all right. And so I had to put a little color on here somehow so that you knew there's a little muscle here. There's a little attachment on this fin. Something that makes it just slightly different than what's behind it there. So we'll give it just a tad bit of darkness. It's probably a little bit more than I wanted. We're going to take just a little bit off of there. Boom, just about like that. And do we need to do anything else? Is there anything else on here that really needs to be done? His mouth looks good. It's open. You can see it. This is one of those cases where if I'm doing this on a Saturday afternoon and I'm going to take 8 hours to do this. I'll probably go over and do a couple extra layers like this on a number of places. But for a 2-hour painting, I think we pretty much nailed it. His mouth is open. You can see his mouth, right? He's got the eyes, got a nice highlight on his eye. He's got these wonderful bass-y spots that come down the side here. He looks like he's got some dimension to him. And he's jumping out of it. We got this beautiful, maybe it's calmer water, right? A little bit of calm water. This explosion of white where he's jumping out here. And the rest of them, I think, looks fantastic. I'm not going to futz with it anymore tonight. I'm going to sign it right here. Right here. And I am going to call this one done. I love this painting. Oh my God, this is great. So, actually, I am going to do one other thing, which is I'm going to highlight the outside of these, which should give a little bit more interest to the top of the helmet there. I'm going to call that good. The shadow in the mouth back here, it looks like it's open, right? It goes back. Oh, you know what? That's one thing I was going to do a little bit more of, right? Okay, so who said that? Vonda. Thank you, Vonda. I want to get, this is probably not the right brush for this, but I just want to get a little extra color in here. I spent all that time painting that lip on the outside. There you go. Now so you can't see it now. So now I paint it, and you can see the lip there now, right? Before the colors just kind of ran together. So now you can see it. Okay, to me, that's better. Okay, cool. Now I'm done. So I hope you liked it. To me, it's got some coolness to it because, first of all, this fish is jumping off the page. It's not just jumping out of the water, it's jumping off the page. If you look at this picture, right, it's got some faraway sky. It's got some trees in the background. It's got this line, this vertical line. Well, this one over here is mostly covered, but that vertical shoreline pushes everything back, right? Those vertical lines help to push it back a little bit, and the dark back here helps to push it back. And then that fish really looks like it's way in the front, right? It looks like it's way up front. And I just love his look. Like, I'm jumping! So fantastic. So that's what I got for you guys this evening. Anybody who watches later, if you want to throw a suggestion down in the comments about what we can do next week, I'm totally open to it. Let me know. Enter Cuneiform over on Twitch. Thank you so much for joining. Enjoyed having you here. Over on YouTube, everybody who's here, there's so many people, I don't know if I can go through them all, but thank you all for joining me this evening and helping to make my Wednesday, the end to my Wednesday, fantastic. A big thanks to you all for that. I hope you have a great rest of your evening, whatever you can do for the rest of tonight. I hope you have a great rest of your week. And I hope you're able to join me back here again next week when we do something else, and have a great time doing it. Until then, thank you so much. Bye-bye.